I like that we're talking about this like it's a real place.
It's a real place. It totally is.
Like this sounds exactly like an episode where like, okay, well here's the history of Cincinnati. Like, inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
I'm Dolan.
And we are virtual again. But you know what? Through the magic of Zoom, it all just kind of works. As we all just nod our head.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, this is a podcast. They can't hear me.
Yeah, they can just see us like nod or hear us nodding our heads. Unless you do it really fast by the microphone and it makes a whooshing sound.
Yeah, there you go.
This week, a beer, blah, 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 mm-hmm.
This beer's out of this world.
It is totally out of this world. Comes to us from Sheila Bissell, Atlas Traveler, longtime Atlas Traveler. She was at a brewery in South Carolina on one of her days off, and she sent me a picture of the menu. She had tried some different stuff, and there was a beer called the Tangelorian. And I said, okay, we need that one because I'm a big Star Wars fan. We are big. We talk about Star Wars a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very clearly the label is supposed to be the Mandalorian helmet. So Mandalorian, we will get into that just a little bit. The Disney Plus show from Star Wars. So
we're going to spoil the hell out of it too. So that's your warning.
Yeah. Well, we are 2 days away as of this recording. As of the airing date, we are 2 days away from season 2 of The Mandalorian. And I can't wait.
Maybe we'll talk about some of the spoilers for that too, or what we think we know.
Oh yeah, there's some really good spoilers in some of the posters that have come out so far. So first off, this smells. Do you guys know what a kolache is?
Yes. Yeah. Yo.
Yeah. Doesn't it smells like? Don't you? I mean, it smells like that. Like my grandma used to make. My grandma was an old Czech lady, and she would make kolaches, and they're just like a pastry with fruit in the middle.
Yeah.
And this smells almost exactly like it.
Isn't there a place that makes kolaches in Omaha?
The Kolache Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Ooh,
the
that
cheese
smells
factory,
good.
but smaller.
It smells bready, yeasty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Sweet.
That's really good.
Oh, there's a nice sourness that. Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know. Oh, well, it says tangerine sour on the can.
Yeah.
Clearly, I didn't look at it close enough.
It's a good breakfast beer. Reminds me of like a screwdriver.
Yeah, mimosa maybe.
Yeah.
Very mimosa-y. Orangey.
With it. It's good. I really enjoy it. It's a little bit of sour, kind of perks you up a little bit, but it's not like biting your cheeks or anything, which is all right.
You guys know, I guess, help me understand before we get into the, we'll go brewery research, then we'll do about the Mandalorian. What's a tangerine?
Boy, that's a good question. That feels like something that somebody should have researched. I think it's in the orange family. It's smaller than like a navel orange or the kind that we see.
What's the difference between an orange and a tangerine?
I don't know, boy. I don't know.
Well,
Dolan, what do you know?
I'm gonna Google it.
I've heard of Tangelos before. I've seen those.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an internet thing because I Googled it and it's got the answer right up at the top.
What is it?
Says, although tangerines are similar in color to most orange varieties, they are typically more reddish orange. Oranges are larger and more rounded than tangerines. They both can be seedless or have seeds depending on how it's grown. Most orange varieties are yellow-orange, while tangerines are reddish-orange.
So
The color.
We don't get much red orange in this, though. It's not like a blood orange or anything.
Oh, this is way. I mean, this is just it's like almost a hazy IPA kind of look to it.
So tangerines are less tart. They're easier to peel. But they both have the same health benefits and close to the same nutrients. So they're different fruits under the same kind of citrus family, is what it says.
So it's just an orange variety.
Correct. Yeah, just an orange variety.
Okay.
Probably like the clementine or the mandarin and so on and so forth. Because I couldn't tell the difference between those two for a while either. Because you get those bags of cuties from the store.
Yeah.
And you don't know if they're mandarin oranges or clementines. You got to read the tag.
And I don't even know. You could set two of them in front of me and say, you need to choose whichever one is the clementine. No idea. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. No. So this is nice though. I like this a lot.
It is. It's really good.
So here's what I got for us. I want to read the it's not necessarily a mission statement, but it's just kind of tells about what these guys are into, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Frothy Beard Brewing Company, grown out of a passion for creativity, right there. Culinary arts, so they're into food, which is great. So are we. Zombies, epic novels, board games, the outdoors, and beer, but mostly beer, says. So those are the things that they're into. Guess what? There were 3 dudes that were friends that decided to go in and make a brewery. And that's what they did. Dudes named Michael Biondi, Steve McCauley, and Joey Schifanolfi, I'm going to go with. So they have like some Italian-y sounding names.
Yeah.
But they're in Charleston, South Carolina. Opened in 2013, and then in 2017, they moved to a new upgraded facility, kind of when everybody was really booming a few years ago and everybody was expanding. They upped their space by about, what's going on there, Rich?
Got a spider on the desk. There's a spider. He just
Thought
climbed up and he wanted some Tangelorian too.
I thought you spilled.
Nope. Spider this time.
400% bigger brewing capacity at this new place. It's now been around for 3 or 4 years. That guy that you just showed on the can there, Dolan?
Yeah.
His name is Finnegan.
Oh.
He kind of looks like the Monopoly guy with a full-on beard.
He does look like that. And all the owners of this company, they all kind of look like that guy too. They all have big frothy beards. Imagine that.
Brewers that have big beards, that's so not normal.
Yeah, what?
What?
Here's what else isn't normal at their brewery. They have pizza. But they have like fancy pizza. It's called Zombie Bob's. That's the name of I don't know if it's a separate company. But you know how like on The Walking Dead or any zombie show, when somebody falls down, right? And all the zombies just start ripping them apart. That's basically their logo. It's like there's a pizza on the ground and there's zombies like ripping the pizza. So that's pretty fun. But they have it looked like they have cauliflower crust. They had like 3 different types of tomatoes you could get, sun-dried tomatoes and some other stuff. They make calzones. They did one that they make it kind of like a pizza and then they fold it over. So it's like almost like a quesadilla, basically, I think from the description, it sounds like. So a good place to get some grub. And then I'll just go real quickly. Let's check what they have on tap menu right now.
You know what zombies would never eat? Cauliflower crust. What the hell is happening to our world?
If you slather some brains on it, maybe they would.
You know, I'm going to disagree with you, Rich. I have had several cauliflower crust pizzas, and I cannot tell the difference.
No, just smell it. It smells like baby diaper.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Dolan. Brian and I have both had children. You have not.
Yeah.
Cooked cauliflower smells like disgusting baby diaper. Hot, disgusting baby diaper.
Oh, man. I had cauliflower crust last night, so it was amazing.
Yeah, you hit close to home there, apparently.
Yeah.
So these guys have a pickle beer currently,
Yum.
and they also have a cucumber beer. So I guess you get one, then you get the other. One of them, the cucumber one's a wheat beer. The pickle one is like a goza. They have probably, I don't know, it looks like 30 different types of beers kind of. And you can get growlers, which I think was probably an option for Sheila if she was there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them kind of spendy, some of them not too bad, around $20 for, a gallon of beer. That's pretty good. So
Yeah.
but they have a pretty good food menu. They have what they call, I guess they call them the King of Popsicles. So it looks like they're like craft popsicles, like they make their own popsicles, which is interesting. And then they have, your normal pretzels, appetizer sort of stuff, breadsticks, that sort of thing. So a pretty good spot to grab beer and a meal, looks like, if you're in the Charleston area. So I don't want to take up too much more time because I know we really want to talk about Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah, totally, 100% true. I think I thought the Frothy Beard guy on the can looked like Brian if he were to grow his hair out a little bit.
Yeah, I just got a haircut yesterday, actually, so it did look like me a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah. So okay. So raise your hand if you know who Boba Fett is. Okay, we're all raising our hand here. So Boba Fett was the first Mandalorian that we knew of, okay? First appeared in, the first actual on-screen appearance was the Star Wars Holiday Special in 1978.
We don't count that, right?
Well, it's non-canon,
okay,
so to speak, but it is recognized as possibly the worst holiday special of all time.
Well, it's got B. Arthur in it.
It was horrendous. It was terrible. But the best part, and that spawned the cartoon later, the Droids and Ewoks cartoon many years later, was a very short cartoon at the end where Luke meets Boba Fett. And Boba Fett's a bounty hunter, pretends to be his friend, actually calls him friend at one point, and then turns out he's not really a friend.
No,
not at all. The actual first appearance of Boba Fett, and then he later shows up, obviously, in The Empire Strikes Back, right? He is the bounty hunter that works with Mando to capture Han on Cloud City, right, and deliver him to Jabba the Hutt, which sets up Return of the Jedi, right? The actual first appearance of Boba Fett was at the Anselmo County Fair parade.
That's in California.
In California, yeah. So I thought, why San Anselmo? And I'm sure I'm not saying that right. It was a county fair parade in California. Well, that city, that town within California, was the first home of Lucasfilm. And so they thought, let's test this out. So they had a in between Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, they had a county fair parade. Darth Vader was there, some stormtroopers, that type of thing. And they had Darth Vader's friend, they named like his assassin or whatever they called him, and marched with him. And they said, look for this guy in The Empire Strikes Back, or whatever. And it was 1978, so...
Is there footage of this anywhere?
There is footage. There's pictures.
Oh, wow.
It was the actual costume that they used. It was the actual one they used in The Empire Strikes Back. A guy named Dwayne Dunham wore the costume because he just happened to be the right size. And he worked at Lucasfilm. So
that's pretty cool.
He put it on. He marched with Darth Vader in this county fair, and there you go. So that's kind of the backstory to where Boba Fett came from. Now, he was created for The Empire Strikes Back by Ralph McQuarrie and Joe Johnson. So Joe Johnson was one of the armor design guys. He helped work on the Stormtroopers. He worked on Darth Vader's the whole Darth Vader look and all of that. Ralph McQuarrie, you're probably familiar with him. He's an artist who did a ton of pre-production Star Wars work. Anything that you kind of see very colorful, stylized looking Star Wars pictures now are probably Ralph McQuarrie drawings. And even going back to in Return of the Jedi, you were supposed to find Darth Vader like on this lava planet, which ended up being Mustafar, which was in the prequels in number 3
episode
where
3.
Where he actually became Darth Vader, right? Where Obi-Wan cut off his legs. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah,
Anakin, Darth Vader.
Got him all jacked up. My son really loves that, to talk about that. He wants me to tell him all about how Anakin became Darth Vader. So we talk about that on the regular.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, he had the high ground. So
yes, he did.
Right? And you don't. Yeah. So there you go. The Mandalorians. So the race of warriors that Boba Fett belonged to, so to speak, that we were told at the time were Mandalorians. And Mandalorians initially were supposed to, this is funny, they called them super troopers. I don't think they were given mustache rides, but they were called super troopers.
They weren't, because they didn't take their helmets off.
Well, that's true. We're going to get to that. So they were supposed to be like a group of Jedi killers that show up in Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, or whatever, all white armor. So you may see a Boba Fett prototype where it's all in white. And then they decided, no, we're not going to go that way. One, we don't have enough money to make a bunch of armor like this because there's a ton of it. And two, it might just look cool if we paint it up and we make him a bounty hunter and he's just like this old grizzled badass bounty hunter. Okay. So that's where the Boba Fett character came from. They were going to, during the filming, they were going to call him an Imperial Shock Trooper. So then maybe it was kind of a hybrid in between the two, between the kind of Super Trooper Mandalorian thing, and then they completely abandoned that and just went with the bounty hunter storyline. So the Mandalorian storyline even goes back further than that, and they've done a lot to explain who the Mandalorians are, where they came from, their battle with the Jedi. And we'll get into the show The Mandalorian here in a moment, but at the end of the first season, there is a spoiler that goes all the way back to the Clone Wars cartoon, where the main Imperial bad guy has a very scary-looking lightsabers type sword that the Mandalorians used to battle the Jedi during the Clone Wars as the Clone Wars TV show. So, and I'm sure you probably saw that. If you just watched it, then you probably saw what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, the planet Mandalore is located in the Outer Rim territories. You've heard that story before. You've heard that mentioned in Star Wars a number of times. The Outer Rim territory. So it's like the furthest reaches of the Galactic Republic. Lots of bad stuff tends to happen there. Not kind of seedy. Han Solo hung out there a lot, and Lando did some questionable things out there, maybe, but
yeah,
they were smugglers.
That's right.
So I thought this was interesting too. There's an inhabited moon on Mandalore that near Mandalore called Concordia.
Oh, like Kansas.
That's the town where I grew up.
Oh,
so technically, I'm from a moon of Mandalore, kind of, I guess.
Hey.
I like that we're talking about this like it's a real place.
It's a real place. It totally is.
Like, this sounds exactly like an episode where I'm like, okay, well, here's the history of Cincinnati.
There's a suburb called Concordia.
That's right. So put this in perspective for me, because right now my son is hard into Star Wars again. He goes through these phases, right? So he's 4.5 now, and he has some like this big Star Wars figures,
the Galactic Heroes.
Sure, and everybody's a good guy or a bad guy.
Of course.
Well, of course. If they're fighting Jedi, does that just mean that all of them are technically bad guys?
Not necessarily, no.
Were they hired to fight? Were they like Hessian soldiers?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Okay.
So you can trace it all the way back to now. The Mandalorians have been around for many, many, many years in Star Wars years, right? The first Mandalorian we met, the first Mandalorian besides Boba Fett was his father Jango Fett.
Yeah.
And we met in Attack of the Clones in the blue armor.
Yeah.
Who was
cool.
I like Jango a lot, and I like that actor a lot too. He was, and we talked about this a little bit when we talked Star Wars last time. Kind of his genetic code was used for all of the clones, and the only thing he asked for was an unaltered clone, and that he named Boba, who was his son. And then, clearly Jango met his end at the hands of a Jedi, and the Jedi and the Mandalorians have been fighting for many, many, many years. So not necessarily bad guys. You could make an argument that the Jedi were bad guys, so to speak.
It's just like whatever put cash in their pocket.
The Jedi made choices that maybe weren't always the best. How's that? Maybe it was best for the Jedi and the Jedi Council, but it wasn't always the best, maybe from a moral or that sort of standpoint.
Okay.
So now, it's not saying the Mandalorians were all saints either.
Sure.
Yeah. So that leads us.
They're not Sith.
No. Well, no.
Those guys are bad guys.
Those guys are bad guys. Turns out, so that like sort of weird lightsaber sword that you saw at the end of so that during the Clone Wars series belonged to Darth Maul. So Darth Maul wielded that it was called the dark saber. He had that, and that was kind of that part of the storyline. There are people that theorize that Darth Maul now will show up in the Mandalorian
season 2. Okay.
They haven't said it yet.
Yeah. Wasn't there a whole lot of I don't know if I stayed away from it because I hadn't seen season 1. But wasn't there a lot of rumors and maybe leaked photos from sets, or people thought all these great things were going to show up in season 2, right?
There's a lot of rumors and conjecture about season 2.
Okay.
We know that we're getting 2 characters for sure from the Clone Wars cartoon that we haven't seen live versions of yet, and one of them is Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, and that's Rosario. Is that right?
That's Rosario Dawson. Yeah, I will. I'm going to reserve my opinion. I don't think for Ahsoka cartoon versus Mandalorian. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. I don't think she's necessary in the Star Wars universe. She doesn't fit in the story to me whatsoever. I think they created her for just for to try to get girls to watch the show. Quite honestly, she was Anakin's Padawan in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, but she's never mentioned in the movies. It's only in the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
So take that for what it's worth. I don't think, regardless, it doesn't fit for me. There's people like my brother who love the cartoon, who love the Clone Wars cartoon, think she absolutely fits. It totally makes sense and whatever. Let's see how it works out in the TV show.
I bet you either way it'll be pretty cool.
I like Rosario Dawson just as an actor, so I think she'll do a nice job.
I had another question, and now I can't totally remember what it was, but it was based on watching the show. Let's talk about a couple of, I wouldn't call them cameos, but there were people in this season 1 that I wasn't expecting to see, right, or hear from.
Right.
So one was Nick Nolte.
As an Ugnaught, which is fantastic. So if you remember The Empire Strikes Back, the little pig-faced guys that froze on in carbonite, those are Ugnaughts. And Nick Nolte played, and I wrote his name down. I still can't pronounce it, but he was great in that role.
He was great. What was his little catchphrase? I'm done talking or something.
Damn it.
I have spoken
I have spoken.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, right. It kind of clashes with the This Is the Way.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they both got their own way of doing things or whatever.
The show was so made for pop culture to be memeable, and it was amazing. I really liked it.
I was so cautious, and I'm really protective of my fandom of Star Wars because it's means so much to me over the years.
Sure.
And no spoilers, obviously. Here he finds the child, right, the little baby Yoda looking character at the end of the first episode. At the end of the first episode, that's the bounty he's got to go get, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think. I was almost mad for a second. Almost.
You're like, why is he so cute?
What are you doing? Like, you don't mess with a character like Yoda. And technically there have been two. There were on the Jedi Council in the prequels, there was a character named Yaddle who was a Yoda-looking character.
Yeah.
But they didn't really go too much into Yaddle's storyline or backstory or whatever. But she is definitely the same species as Yoda. So, but you can't. I don't know. It just it was weird, and I was angry. It was every emotion that I didn't think I was going to have watching the show.
So I am not a Star Wars. I don't know anything about Star Wars. I've seen the original movies when I was younger. I don't even know if I could even put the storyline together. But I am on the internet, and I do see things that are being posted about the Mandalorian, especially when it was a new TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever reveal if Baby Yoda is actually the Yoda, like Master Yoda?
So the Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So Return of the Jedi, Ewoks blow up the second Death Star. End of the story before they fast forward to the three new ones, right?
Okay.
So that's whether Yoda dies during Return of the Jedi. I would think he was a male. Maybe the males have babies. Who knows? They haven't explained any of that backstory at all yet. But you would think there would be multiple. Yoda was a species. Just like all the rest of the species. Like, we've only seen the Gamorrean guards one time, right? So we, in Jabba's palace, we've only seen, the characters that played the instruments in the cantina in Star Wars.
Yeah,
they're called Bith. You've only seen them one time. So, he's just another species, just another alien species in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. Just happens to be really cute.
Here's the thing.
When they're babies.
Yoda, the child, is 50 years old. So Yoda died when he was 900 years old. Okay, when he died, he said, when 900 years old, you'll be, you find out he's 900 years old right before he dies. Okay, so baby Yoda, the child, is 50 years old in Star Wars years, or whatever. So, which we assume are the same as our years.
Sure,
I guess.
Yoda.
He doesn't talk though.
Nope.
Never said a word in the whole run of the show.
Got some badass force powers though.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He had some funny moments.
He did.
Chasing,
sometimes
like eating that frog or whatever. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Standing there just drinking a little bone broth, right? I mean,
that's a meme I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing that was able to be a secret that nobody knew that was going to come. Like the way that the internet works now, and people have phones and all that stuff. It's amazing that thing made it through production and aired, and no one knew it was coming.
So I'll take you back even further. 2017. So even further back, 2012, right before the buyout happened, where Lucas sold to Disney. Okay. Mm-hmm. He had developed 50 scripts for a live-action Star Wars TV show. And we had heard about this, like in the early days of the internet. And there was always that rumor that Lucas was working on a live-action TV show that would run just like on ABC on 7 o'clock at night or whatever, Sunday night on NBC or whatever. Well, so the buyout happens. Somewhere along the way, Jon Favreau talks to executives there at Disney. It was probably during the time when he was directing the Lion King, live action Lion King. It was about early, they were filming that probably 2016-ish. He sat down with Dave Filoni, who is the main character, the main force behind the cartoon, the Clone Wars cartoon, and in 2017, and they sketched out. So they were just at lunch somewhere, wherever, and he sketched out kind of ideas for the Mandalorian there with people around or whatever, including the child. And Filoni said, "Yep, I want to do this. Let's go talk to Kathleen Kennedy and the rest of Disney, and let's figure out how to do this." Sure enough, he got the green light to do it, and they started filming shortly after that. So they were openly talking about Baby Yoda having lunch just somewhere in, was it L.A. or wherever, and they made it that whole way.
So John Favreau then is the guy behind Baby Yoda.
He's the showrunner. He's the writer. He was Gutter in PCU. Mm-hmm. He's been around for a long, long time, and he's been acting for a while.
And he's got a great show on Netflix called The Chef.
I was just gonna say that, Dolan. I love it.
I love that show.
What's it called?
The Chef Show. He's a really good cook, a good chef. Like, he made a movie about cooks or chefs.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was in it. Not Angelina Jolie, but
The Chef Tape. No. What was just
cooks,
the chef,
or
right?
something like that? Yeah.
And there's just the chef.
So making a movie about, I think Bradley Cooper was in it. It was like a movie about high-end chefs, like Michelin star chefs or whatever.
Oh.
And making that movie, he got really into cooking and like the whole thing. And that's like his big hobby on the side. And now he's, I think, season 2, right, Dolan, on Netflix?
Yeah, I've been watching all the new episodes lately.
Yeah, we've had him on here as well. So
yeah,
that's probably one of my favorite things that he's done, because, he's a guy that's famous. Like, I would know him if I saw him on the street, right?
Yeah.
For movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But when he's in the kitchen, he's like, "Oh yes, chef, whatever you need." Like, he's the sous chef a lot of times. So he's like, he's on the bottom rung with these superstar chefs that I wouldn't know. Maybe I would, a couple of them, but he's flipped. He's like not famous at all in the kitchens, and just talk. They have like, conversation and usually cook a meal and that sort of thing. But it's a good show. If you like him, it's good to watch.
Yeah, and it's super like transparent. He's just probably one of the most down to earth with everything he's done. He just seems super down to earth.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a fan of John Favreau.
Yeah. So did he own the rights to that character? Does Disney automatically own the rights to that thing?
Disney does. I mean, he's the head writer, showrunner. Like, it was him driving it the whole way.
Yeah. I wonder how much money they could have made by, like, as all the Star Wars stuff does.
Yeah.
Toys, there's everything comes out before the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was obviously a huge financial decision to not show their Yoda cards.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much, because stuff now you can go to Target and pick up about 8 different Baby Yoda toys and things. I wonder if they made more money on the back, or if they would have made more at the beginning, as a run up to the show. That's
a good question. So the first season cost $100 million to make. So they weren't kidding around.
No, that's right? Like Game of Thrones money.
Right. Yeah. Huge. But then the first toys didn't come out until 6 months after the last episode. So they kept that Baby Yoda thing quiet that whole time. Mm-hmm. There's actually a thing on, and this was on StarWars.com, which was really interesting, because normally, so StarWars.com is run by Disney and, whatever, that this is the official description and then a little explanation afterwards. The Mandalorian initially takes the child, which is the official name of the character, for a bounty, but then ends up becoming its de facto guardian in order to protect it. It has been shown to have powers of the Force and blah, 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 been nicknamed Baby Yoda. The unexpected, this is what's interesting, the unexpected popularity of Baby Yoda led to an explosion of unofficial merchandise for that Christmas and holiday season, which quickly sold out. And they shut down some stuff after a while. They kind of let it go for a bit just because there wasn't any other kind of merchandise.
Yeah. I remember I was listening to that Kevin Smith's podcast that he does, with Mark Bernardin.
Modcast, yeah.
Yeah, and they were talking about he bought a custom-made Baby Yoda because there wasn't any, you couldn't get it, you know?
Right.
So he wanted like one for his office or whatever, and spent like a bunch of money. And then everybody was doing them on Etsy and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. There's like bootlegged basically, which is kind of, it's amazing that it even got to that place.
I never ever want to count Disney out or second guess them because they made so many good choices along the way. This had to have been a calculated effort just to keep it quiet.
Well, that secret was worth everything, I think. You know, it's like
it blew me away.
When the thing opens up and he's sitting in there, I was just like, what?
Oh.
Holy crap.
Here's the thing, like Jenny and I will generally watch anything she wants to watch. She will watch anything that I want to watch, you know, and that type of thing. She hates this. She thinks it's boring. She thinks that Mando, that Din has a very monotone voice. Yeah. And she falls asleep. And she doesn't fall asleep watching TV at all. And she falls asleep when this is on. And I woke her up. I'm like, holy shit.
You got to see this.
What is this? She's like, I don't even care. Like, no, it's a little baby Yoda. This is unbelievable. And then I wanted to tell her why I was mad and
she was just like, shut up.
Get out of here. So I called my brother at like midnight.
You have to. Yeah. We watched the first 2 episodes kind of as they came out, you know, because wasn't it a weekly drop?
It was.
Yeah. So we watched the first 2, and then life happens as it does.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. So I was real time for 2 weeks, and then I crunched them all the last, 6, 7?
Yep.
The other night when I texted you that I was going to sit down and do them all. So
let's talk about your opinion on that, because from a Star Wars fan perspective, every episode had so much old fun throwback stuff, but then at the same time there was new different stuff that kind of it was happening at the same time. It just kind of, you almost had to watch the episodes twice to catch everything.
I would like to go back and watch them. I'm I would probably say surface fan. Like, I could tell you who the characters are and I know some of the stories, but I've never read a, paperback book about, you know what I'm saying? So like, I'm there. I thought the show was really well done. You definitely don't need to know anything about Star Wars to watch it. The episodes kind of were almost standalone-ish. You know, they didn't necessarily have a lot to do with one another. There was a lot of action. There was some comedy, which was fun. I liked the episode with Bill Burr more than I thought I would, which basically they were in like 2 rooms the whole episode. They were like on a ship, and then they were like trying to get back to the ship. And that was pretty much the whole thing. And it was great.
Yeah.
So I like that. It felt like the show was almost like a Western, if that makes any sense.
It's very
True Grit, kind of.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's been compared to like a Clint Eastwood type Western character. Like when they talk to Pedro Pascal, the guy that plays the Mandalorian, he plays him like a Western style character.
Yeah.
Star Wars has its roots in spaghetti westerns and samurai. We've talked about all that. So this goes back to the absolute roots of George Lucas and what he liked back in the, when he was writing this in the 70s.
What was your favorite episode and what was your least favorite?
Okay, sadly my least favorite was the one that Bryce Dallas Howard directed, the one where with the ATST in the where he there for a number of reasons they made a very, very big deal about how the Mandalorian doesn't take his helmet off, right?
Yes.
And Din is Mando's name is Din Djarin. Okay, his actual name. He's a foundling. He's not an actual Mandalorian. You find out in the show. Spoilers. He was found by the Mandalorians. They took him in. He became a Mandalorian. Wears the armor of the the Mandalorians. Anyway, you don't take your helmet off, and he falls in love with that character, the girl.
Pretty quickly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. We don't know that much about Din, where he can't, other backstory. He could just be like, he's a mercenary Mandalorian, whatever, just because he had nothing else. He wasn't good at anything else. He's good at killing people and bounties, maybe.
Yeah.
And so maybe he does have a soft side. We don't know. When she almost takes his helmet off at the end of that episode, it's lifting and he's allowing her to do that.
Yeah.
Nope.
TO'd it. Time out.
Yeah. Luckily, he stops her.
He did.
And I think from that point, the show turned. There was that was a turning point in the show. Like, okay, he's not going to do this. He's going to do this. Like, it became a very clear, this is the plan and this is the timeline for him going forward.
Well, it was almost like, first of all, I feel like we're in Jamie's territory. We're really breaking down plot points on a podcast.
Yeah.
But I will say it was like they were trying to humanize him, right?
Sure.
And then he was like, nope. I'm basically a killing robot, and that's kind of how it went from there, and I was okay with that too.
Now, speaking of robots, the first time we saw, there were some pre-production photos of the rifle that he uses, which came from the Star Wars Holiday Special. There was also pre-production photos of IG-11.
Yeah,
and everyone thought that was the robot, the assassin droid, right?
Yeah,
that
he was
everyone
cool.
thought, badass IG-88. That's from Empire Strikes Back. If you go back and read, they're all non-canon now, but the IG series were just assassin droids, and IG-88 became sentient at one point, like became aware of himself and then became a bounty hunter. So just non-feeling robot bounty hunter, and he was badass.
Yeah,
and
that's dangerous.
Exactly. And so they kind of followed that same sort of storyline with IG-11, but then what the Nick Nolte Ugnaught character did to him, how he went out at the end was so fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so good. And it couldn't have ended better. I want to see that character again. I'm fine if I don't, because he ended so well.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. So.
I like that the episodes were not super long. It's like I really had to cram it, but I read somewhere that they made this almost like a children's show too, for the length of the episodes to keep kids' interest, because a lot of kids can't pay attention that long. And I feel like we were talking earlier about the chances of him making a live action show that would have been, let's say, on ABC. I almost wonder if, Star Wars is everywhere, right? In culture now. I still don't know if it would be on like ABC. Like, is it still too nerdy for it to be on Sunday night on ABC? You know what I mean?
Right. Honestly,
it probably Disney owns it, but yeah.
It would have been like a sci-fi show or what, on the sci-fi channel or something.
Yeah.
Probably. You might be right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely worth a watch, I would say.
There's a ton of fun cameos in it. Was it Jason Sudeikis and the other guys that show up in I want to say it's the last episode. Is it the last episode?
Stormtroopers talking to each other?
The biker scouts.
Yeah.
And which is hilarious, because there was a whole, they've been called Tag and Bink because there was a comic book called Tag and Bink where they were two stormtroopers, but they just kind of goofed off all the time, and they would just get in trouble, and it was just a funny kind of comic to go.
There was jokes about how they can't shoot.
Exactly.
In the episode.
Bam, 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 and he's missing by, or whatever.
Yeah.
Fun. That was a blast. I
liked Carl Weathers. He was great.
Carl Weathers is coming back in season 2.
Yeah, Mando. That's what he'd always say. He was great. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, the Cara Dune character, who was a heavy infantry stormtrooper. So like one of the first after the Jango Fett clones. Cara was one of the shock troopers, which is fun because normally you would assume that the stormtroopers were all males, and that's not the case. So they would take the Imperial Navy would take anybody, or Army, I guess. And
I thought she was really good too. I like that fight scene that she had with. It was almost like it was like a force field rope keeping them together, so they couldn't get too far away from each other to fight. That was cool.
She was great. I'm glad they're bringing her back again.
She was a good foil for him, and she was like the kind of, which was weird, was she was more soft than he was in a way.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
So yeah.
I was very happy to see the guy that got to play Moff Gideon, who was the main bad guy at the end of the last episode,
Mm-hmm.
which was probably my favorite episode, just because it was funny. It had lots of Star Wars, like original throwback stuff, new stuff. The heavy infantry troopers that you see with the flamethrowers and stuff were just
That was cool.
I love me some stormtroopers, and
Yeah, that was Giancarlo.
yeah, from Breaking
Bad and Better Call Saul, and yeah.
So
he got an Emmy. Did he win? He was nominated for an Emmy for that episode.
I want to say maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Pretty cool.
But he shows up with the Darksaber, and instantly Ray Park, who played Darth Maul, tweeted, "Hey, that's my sword."
Mm.
And Disney at this point was pretty. They tightened the screws a little bit. And they didn't say anything.
Mm.
So maybe based on what we saw at the end of Solo with him running, right? So
cool.
Darth Maul is still alive. That's his sword. I'd love to see some Ray Park as Darth Maul again.
He was pretty cool. That's for sure.
Here's what I did a little research then on the backside of Disney Plus, just to understand, okay, what did this do to subscription rates? Because when Disney Plus launched, it was really just their shows, right? It was just their shows. It was just like the the cartoons that they had produced. Okay. When Disney Plus launched in 2019, it had 10 million subscribers.
I was one of them.
It's not bad, right? December 31st, they reported 26.5 million subscribers. On February 4th of 2020, they reported 28.6 million. So we hadn't all gone into shelter, right, by February.
No, not yet.
April 10th, they reported 50 million subscribers.
Doubled. Whoa.
So
Well, I mean,
I'll go home and subscribe to Disney Plus. The last estimate I saw was they're at 60.5 million subscribers. They had a 5-year goal to get to 50 million, and they reached that in 8 months.
Yeah, it sounds like Disney.
Somebody actually said that's so Disney, and it really is.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It is. It's kind of fun because it's really the main thing that we have on here at my house. Except right now, we were flipping between Star Wars and this like Marvel cartoon. They're like shorts, like 3-minute shorts.
Oh yeah,
that my kid likes.
Yeah.
So we're watching those. That's basically it.
Yeah.
But my whole upbringing was also on Disney stuff, like the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
All the classic things. It's cool to see how much they've added and continue to roll out. It's ever changing, I would say. The library is getting bigger and bigger because when it did start, I mean, it was huge, but they're adding even more like random stuff. I watched something the other day that was from the 40s that I'd never seen before.
Oh,
that
weird.
was really cool. Yeah, it was like it was like 5 or 6 shorts that they tied into a movie with theme music, and they were all like tall tales. Like Johnny Appleseed was in it, and Pecos Bill, stuff like that. So they continue to roll these things out, and then new seasons of shows that were hits, and basically every movie that ever came out from the 2000s on is on there. So well worth the money for sure.
So let's compare Disney Plus subscribers to a couple of other online streaming services. Okay. Hulu just reported fiscal third quarter earnings. They have 35.5 million subscribers.
I have that too.
I have Hulu as well.
Yeah. But that's their live TV plus sports package. Okay.
That's what I have. Yeah.
If it's the free stuff, I don't know if that actually includes a free subscription or whatever. So ESPN Plus, 8.5 million subscribers. So, okay, that's fine. Probably because you can log in, if you have DirecTV or anything else, you can log into ESPN's app, and you don't need to necessarily subscribe to ESPN Plus unless you're a soccer fan and you want to watch a bajillion soccer games. I'm going to guess that's probably what their subscriber base is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Finally, Netflix. Do you have any clue, any guess as to how many subscribers Netflix has.
I think there's 6, and they just share the password with everybody else.
I'm gonna go with 80 million.
182.8 million
Oh,
subscribers.
So
only 100 million off, Dolan.
Only 100 million off.
Wow.
Yes. Last reported. Now, that's the last reported number. They think the numbers jumped to about 190 million-ish right now. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's...
Even for all the stuff they're going through right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I think that's Disney. Last thing I wrote down here was Disney Plus is $6.99 a month, which is probably the most affordable.
Yeah. I think that was like their big introductory price. That was what they said it was going to be for a while. And for $7, that's so worth it.
I'm still on the free plan probably for another couple months. I got the year free Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been watching, we've been watching some of the cartoons that we grew up watching, which is totally different. Mostly like Phineas and Ferb and some of the old Disney Channel movies that came out in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I'd noticed that some of those they couldn't get the license to right away.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to wait. Like it's on there, but it says like coming, in fall of 20 whatever it says on Disney Plus. Because one of the movies I used to watch all the time was Max Keeble's Big Move. I don't know.
Never heard of it.
Oh, never heard of it.
I think it came out in like 92, 95, something like that. And that was one of the VHSs that I had. So I was watching that like crazy. And I got excited because I saw it on there, but then it was like, oh, not coming till 2021. And
that was the problem they ran into with some of the Star Wars films is they had licensed them to Netflix for a certain amount of time. So you couldn't watch a couple of the Star Wars films on Disney Plus when it launched.
That's the same with Marvel, I think,
the Marvel stuff. Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Since we flip-flopped,
yes,
I have the Untapped ready.
Oh, I haven't even looked it up yet.
All right, so we've got 1,009 check-ins.
Wow.
What do you guys think it's going to be? By the way, it's 5% ABV, right on the nose.
5%.
Well, I really like it, and I feel like if you're going to get this beer, you're a fan of the Mandalorian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to guess it's a little higher. Maybe like a 4.2.
Okay.
See, I think you seek out sours. You don't just run into a sour, right? You don't just say, like IPA guys just say, give me an IPA, right? I mean, you don't just necessarily run into a sour. So based on other sours I've had, I'm going to go 3.93.
4.11.
Wow.
Dolan, very close, my man.
Wow, nice work.
But it's a 17 out of 5 if you like Star Wars.
I couldn't be happier with it. I thought that was really, really good.
And it looks like they have it on tap at the brewery as of last night. Somebody checked into it there.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's interesting. There's not a whole lot of other Star Wars looking. I mean, it really is just maybe they're super concerned about getting sued, and so
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know that was the brewery. I mean, that's pretty small for your beer label, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Who makes this beer? That's definitely what it's supposed to show you.
Yep.
So this is out of, you said, North Carolina?
Charleston, South Carolina, home of
South Carolina.
Bill Murray,
Oh.
of Stephen Colbert,
Oh.
and home of Danny McBride.
South Carolina.
Funny place to go, I guess. You got to be funny to live in Charleston.
Sadly, this doesn't check one off of our list. We have had a beer from South Carolina before, so we're still on the hunt for our last. So last 9, I think, is what we're at.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll get there.
I'll get a list out. Maybe we'll get some help.
Maybe we need to just post a video.
Yeah.
Yes, that we need these beers.
Answer the call.
A beer from one of these states. Doesn't matter what it is, we'll do it.
Yep. Oh, I think that's
Send
a
us
video.
beer and we'll send you some fairy nectar.
Works for me.
Yep. Some Atlas swag.
There you go.
So next week will be after Halloween, but like it or not, we're going to do a pumpkin beer.
Oh, yes. I forced my hand. Pumpkin beer.
There has never been a more polarizing style of beer, I don't think.
Yeah, real beer nerds seem to just poo-poo the idea of the pumpkin beer.
Which is funny because if you do your research, they were using pumpkin in place of malt for years and years.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
There you go. Now, that doesn't necessarily make me a fan, but as I've said before, I'll pretty much drink anything. So,
And we're gonna.
let's have some pumpkin beers next week. All right, Brian. Roland, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.